my watercolor peeps. We're going to paint a watercolor autumn tree and reflection scene today. So sit back, relax, splash, and repeat. And if you're enjoying these watercolor videos, one of the best ways that you can help support my channel is through Patreon. By joining Patreon, it's going to help me keep creating for you, sharing these tutorials with you, and I have extra bonus, which we're going to be doing a bonus fall painting. So if you are a patron, thank you so much and stick around for the bonus. Well, hello, my lovelies. So we are going to do a fall scene today. Now I have one that I'd done a while ago, very basic. I think I'm going to go upright with this one. And today we're going to use something different. We're going to use a water brush pen. So these just fill up with water and they unscrew. Now I always do this because I always want to screw it the wrong way, but it's the opposite. And you just add the water right to the pen and then you just tighten it. And a lot of times these will come in a bunch of different sizes. I don't use these often. A lot of times I will use this when I'm traveling just for convenience sakes. You can fill it up with a little bit of water and it's really easy to travel with. So I thought we would sketch this one out. I'm using for paper just some basic Strathmore watercolor cards. I cut it in half so I get 2 sheets and I've taped it down on just a little board. I often do this because I can turn and twist my paper, so that's why I have it on here. So we're going to do, I want a lot of colorful trees in this one. So we're going to have our trees kind of coming up here and down, and then maybe I want another little island back here with some other colorful trees. Come across here a little bit more. So they're kind of going off in a little bit of a distance, and I might even wrap them around. I don't know, or I'll actually, if I look at this one, I did more of a reflection in the water. So we're gonna have a lot of color in this one. So I could go all the way across, but I'm not gonna. We could make this a little bit smaller. Let's just see how it goes. We could have it tiny, or we can have it big. So we'll just see how this evolves. So that's it for sketching. You don't need a whole lot of sketch. So I'm going to start with, and if you squeeze these, you can see I get a little bit of water right in the bottom, little puddle. And like I said, the nibs come in usually like sets of 3 or so. I think this is the medium one. So I'm just going to start. I like to do kind of a messy looking. If I squeeze this, I can get more water on there. So just by squeezing the brush itself, I like to get the clouds. So sometimes I'll just kind of dry brush it around. I don't want the star of the show to be the sky so much, so I'm going to kind of simplify it a little bit. Now I'm squeezing a little bit more because I want a little bit more pigment in here. Just go with a nice blue. And you can see I've got some spots there. What we can do is just take a paper towel and just give some little puffy clouds. Again, I don't want to lift all of it up, and I have texture. I've been using this because I've got to get rid of them, but it's the Vivia watercolor, or not watercolor, Vivia towels, paper towels. And you can see where they've got that texture, which I'm not a fan of. So I'm going to come back in maybe and just, we'll give the illusion of where those clouds are. I'll fill in the blue elsewhere. And it looks like it's clouds. Remember, your clouds are bigger up here. As you come down here, they're going to get smaller. So I don't need a whole lot of clouds in here. Yeah, not really a big fan of that cloud. All right, I think I'm going to try to get a little piece of this paper towel. Let's just try balling it up and see if I can get less lines with that. There we go, just some little fluffy ones, connecting them kind of here and there. All right, good enough. we got some clouds in there. And then for the water, I'm going to do a reflection of the colors. So normally I would just do the clouds, and then I would, do the middle section and then do the front section. But sometimes I'll bounce around, like if I'm waiting for this to dry, I might come down here, but I don't want to put the blue in there too much because I want to see how I'm going to create some of this, some of the colors in there. So I also have some blending medium. This is going to keep my colors wet longer, so I'm just going to pour a little bit in there. You can see it's somewhat thick. Look at that. It's actually pushing. Do you see that? It's actually dancing around. It's pushing away this puddle of water. Look at that. Isn't that wild? So I'm going to start with some yellow. I have a little bit of green now because I've got some blue going on there, which is fine. Instead of a blue, like a yellowy green color, I go in a little bit stronger yellow. Now we've got a lot of different colors usually in your trees, but I'm going to start with that lighter shade first. So some of this might turn green as it hits the blue. That's all right. So I guess I've decided to go a little taller on that, as you can see. And this blending medium, you can see, look at that. Look at the texture that's already creating. I think I might have had a little bit too much in there. But it's going to keep this nice and wet. It's going to give me plenty of time to work on this while I add in some other colors. Look at that, it's separating it. It's just pushing it right away. Isn't that wild? Look at that. Now I've used oxgall many times, which is also a wetting agent. It will keep your paper wet for longer. I'm not sure if I'm a big fan of the blending medium. So this is the first time I've used it. So let's go with a little bit of red now. Kind of a, it's more of a rose shade with that yellow. Let's go with this red. It's a little bit more vibrant. I want vibrancy in this. So let's just tap a little bit of this in here. Look at that. It's all just moving around. This is really a really loose way to create the looks of trees. You can see I'm just tapping my little brush around, getting some blooms in there. Those are pretty. Go with it. I try not to cover up all of that yellow. I want to let some of that kind of peek through there. And we might even add a little bit of green. So remember, you can always squeeze. Look at that. See, that's obviously got some more of that blending medium right in there. It's separating some of that. There we go. So I'm going to tap in some green. Remember, green and red are going to make brown, right? So I don't want this to mix too much. And I think that blending solution is kind of helping push some of that color away. You can see it's pushed it in around the yellow. So I'm not getting too much brown, which is good. Look at that, very pretty. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and do the same thing down on the bottom. By the way, if you want to clean your brush, you just squeeze and wipe off till it becomes clear. So I'm going to go back to that yellow. I'm going to bring in some more of that. Got a little bit of brown going on there, but that's all right because there is brown also when you have fall colors, right? And you might have to kind of get used to using this brush because sometimes I need a little bit more water, so just squeeze. Sometimes I don't want a lot of water, so I might wipe off excess. I'll leave a little trail, I think, in between there. All right, back to that orangey red shade. Gonna kind of follow what I did before. And I want try to mirror it as best as I can here. Go back in with a little bit more red in here. It is so wild that what that does, that medium. Isn't that cool? Now, if you don't have this medium, that's fine. You don't need to use it. This is just, again, something for me to play around with, try out. And when you're patrons, this is the kind of stuff that you help me purchase so that I can try these things and share them with you. So I really appreciate it. Come up a little higher. Maybe add a little bit more green on top. Remember, where there's green on top, there's going to be green on the bottom. These are going to mirror each other. Right now it looks like a bunch of blobs, and that's all right. So let's squeeze, clean off that brush. There we go. I'm going to go back to that blue. And we'll just fill in, squeeze some of that right in there. Kind of popping around. We might have some of those clouds in there, so if I don't get all of the white filled in, that's okay. Go a little bit darker blue down in the front. I'm going to come up a little bit more blue here too. Again, we want it to mirror. I'm going to tuck some in here. Careful that I don't get into those colors. Again, very, very loose. And I think that's going to be good. So I'm going to dry this at this point, and then we'll do some details. Well, you can see that it's dried. It has a lot. Ooh, well, maybe it wasn't completely dry. Remember that blending medium is going to keep it slow for drying, even with a blow dryer. So I'm going to go back in now with a water brush. Again, this time, wrong color again. I don't want to squeeze a lot of water on here. I want it to be pretty bright, which means less water. So look at that. You can see how much more brighter this is. And again, I'm just going to dot. I'm not really sure where these trees are. Some of it could be very thick. Now, if you like a specific color and you want to go heavy on a specific color, like I love reds, then you can go in a little heavier on some of those. Remember, you want to mirror as best you can, the top and the bottom. So I've got a lot of yellow in this one, so I might put in just a little more yellow. Well, it's kind of orangey, isn't it? Keep going. There we go. A little yellow here. Again, mirror that as much as I can. And again, come back in here with the red. So I'm going to clean that off, give it a little squeeze, and go back with that green. And remember, see, look at that. Even when I activate this, it's got some of that medium right in there. So again, it wants to separate it. So let's pop in, again, some brighter greens. Just kind of layering this. Okay. So now we need to let that dry, and then I'm going to grab my bead proof white, and I'm going to divide this up so you can see maybe where the two islands are. So I'm going to switch now to a regular brush for my details. And I've got a Princeton number 8 for this. I should be able to get a pretty good point with that. So I like to always keep my white separate, because if you get it in here, it's really hard to get out. So I just like to use the top of my cover and mix that up. So let's see if we're wet enough. So I'm just going to make this little division here. So this is where the trees are and then the reflections. This one's going to be down here a little bit lower. And then I can add a little bit into the water. It's not going to come over here because those are actual trees, so make sure you don't go too far with that. Oops, got a little red in the water. That's all right. So they kind of use like that almost as gouache. You can also use this for if you want to pop in some more clouds in there. I just like to do little circle clouds, little puffs. And again, this is kind of gouache-y, pretty thick. Lighten that up. I can go back in with a little bit more blue if I want. Let's try this blue. This is ultramarine. I've got a little bit of white on there, but that's all right. Get a little bit brighter. I'm going to tuck some of this in here. Again, you get that gouache look. All right. So now I'm going to grab the black gouache. Since we're kind of doing a gouache look to it anyway. Could even add a little bit of brown to it. I don't want it too dark. And we're going to pop in just a few little stems here. And we want to mirror those down in the bottom. And I might put in just a little bit, oops, I used the wrong brush for that. A little bit more white. Let's say we want to tap off the excess there and create maybe some birch trees in here. Again, I've got where I've got some on the top, I'm going to put some on the bottom. And I'm going to go back in, maybe do a little splatter now. No, I don't want that in the sky unless I want a lot of birds up there. I forgot to cover that. So just take a little bit of white. And cover it up with clouds. You can even have some clouds in here. Fun. Okay, this time I'm going to splatter some yellow, but I'm going to cover that up at the top. You know what? Your comments mean a lot. It helps with engagement. So I'm going to ask you guys a question today. What is your favorite part of painting fall scenes? Is it the bright colors, the reflections, or maybe the texture in the leaves? Come up a little higher here. Ooh, there we go. You could even have some here in the water if you wanted to, because guess what? You're going to have some of those leaves maybe floating along in the water. Don't want them floating along in the sky, though. Messy. Love it. Fun. Okay, we're going to dry that and I'm going to go in with just a few really dark pen details. Okay, so it's very messy. And that's the whole point of this. It's all about just getting loose, having fun, not worrying about all those details. But we're going to use our little G-Tech pen. So now this one is not, okay, stuff all over my hands, all the colors in here. This is not waterproof, so this is the kind of brush you want to, or the pen you want to use when you're done. You don't want to put any more paint in here. So we can create some more trees in here. Again, branches are going to be tucked in. They're not going to be all showing. We're going to keep it loose. Remember, wherever you do it there, you want to do it down below. So this tree is coming this way. If it throws you off, sometimes it's really easy to come and do the same thing this way because you can see what direction your branches are going to go in. So this one kind of came here. This one's out this way and up this way. So it's going to mirror whatever you've got on this side. Yeah, we could have done brown. I like the black, and we could even do, a little bit of very loose. I'm holding my pen like up here as I'm doing this because I want this to be scribbly. I don't want it to be perfect. And again, we've got this little reflection here. And now I think what I'm going to do is put in just a little bit of color, maybe some yellow. A little more yellow and green, maybe red, kind of a brownish shade down the bottom. Just to tuck in some other fall colors down in here. Now, even though I have that pen work in there, that black and brown is okay. I think this is actually ochre. No, gold. Quinacridone gold is what that one is. So quinacridone is a little bit more transparent. Just pumping up and down. Cute. Okay. We can put some birds in there. We can add a little bit more of that white. Now I've got to mix this up. You can see it's got a little bit thicker in there. So I'm just going to take my brush. And I'm going to have to wipe this off really well. It's going to be loaded up there in that ferrule. Hey guys, while I'm thinking of it, I am on a mission to reach 20,000 subscribers. So every little bit helps. So if you're finding the tutorials helpful, or really you just like watching the process, maybe you're not even painting, but I would be so grateful if you hit that subscribe button. I share tips, full tutorials on here, ups and downs of watercolor, and really your support just means the world to me. You can splatter a little bit of white. Almost looks like a sparkle. Okay, there. Messy, fun, definitely fall. Let's peel off the tape here. Take a look at what we've got. Again, it's not a super defined painting. It's more about the feels that you get, not being in control, letting loose. That's kind of what fall's all about, just a bunch of color. Look how cute that is. We got a mat for you. Super bright, colorful, fun, and loose, which I think that is really important. Loose and lively. So for my patrons, I'm going to be doing another one, but this time we're going to be going a little bit more defined, a little bit more controlled. So if you're Patreon, stick around for that one. So thanks again for joining me today, and let me know if there's something that you want to see for the fall or for maybe next week. Bye.